everyone, welcome to the OklaRoots YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're gonna do a fun, quick, scrappy project. Today, we're gonna be making the butterfly coin purse, and this pattern comes to us from Justyna THandmade. Okay, sometimes we do the big bags. Sometimes we do the bags with 1,000 pockets. And sometimes we do a project that's just fun. And today, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a scrap-friendly, beginner-friendly, just for fun project. Look at this little cutie patootie. Let me get it closer to you guys so you can really check this out. So do you see how adorable this is? It's a tiny little coin purse. Here's the zipper up top. We have these little details on the wings. They're on the front and the back. Look how sweet that is. And then we have a tiny little wristlet strap here. I mean, this is just the scrappiest of scrappy projects. I love it. And if you make a lot of bags and you work with a lot of vinyl, you probably have a lot of scraps. And if you're like me, you kind of have like a bin, like right over there. I think it's kind of overflowing. You have an overflowing bin of vinyl scraps and it's like, oh, I don't want to get rid of them, but I just don't know what I can use them on and I don't need to make a whole bunch of those little key fobs. You know what I mean? This is a project, I mean, it comes together in minutes, guys. It is just fun. It's like a crafty project. There are bags we make where we're just like, roll up the sleeves. This is a construction, workout kind of bag, but it's gonna be worth it. It always is worth it. And then there are projects that are like, I feel like I should have pom-poms and a glue stick. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crafty for fun project, and this is it. So this is a great project if you have kiddos in your life and you want to have, like, just dump out all the scraps of vinyl everywhere. Have them pick out what do they want to be the outside of the butterfly? What do they want to be the inside? Let them pick out all the little scraps. Let them trace the butterfly outline on the fabric, maybe cut it out. I mean, depending on their, age level, skill level, how comfortable they are with scissors and things like that. Let them be a part of this. This is a fun, this would be like a fun sleepover project. So yes, this is a small coin purse. This is a small zipper. You have, it's really for coins, maybe chapstick, a little bit of makeup, things like that. It's just so fun. It's so fun. And like, I'm just telling you, this little tiny strap is killing me. I love it. So thank you so much to Justyna for allowing me to use your patterns in my tutorial. If you guys haven't checked out her Etsy shop, you must go look at it. She is the cutest things. Like, if you guys think this is adorable, just wait till you see she's got like a little piggy pouch. Oh my gosh, so cute. She's just like the queen of cute designs, and especially beginner-friendly designs. I feel like she's always thinking about beginners. We love Justyna over here. If you're new to the OklaRoots YouTube channel, please consider clicking subscribe down below. If at any point you like this video, please give it a like. Any questions, comments, anything at all you want to say, leave them down in the comment section. I have timestamps. Yeah. There'll be very few timestamps if there are timestamps. This should be a pretty quick video. Oh man, you guys, it's just a fun make. I'm so excited to make another one of these. If you make one of these, please let me know. If you share it on social media, you can tag me. I'm at OklaRoots. You can also just send me an email if you want to just show me your beautiful little butterfly coin purse. These are so fun. And the thing is, you can get so creative with these. You really could. You could like use HTV if you wanted to. I will say this is a raw edge project, so it's a big disclaimer here. You're not going to be using quilt cotton for this. You're going to want to use vinyl, cork, felt even. Felt would be really fun, especially if you have younger ones sewing this. But you're going to want to use something that can keep its raw edges and not fray. If you want to get fancy and do some edge coating on this, you can definitely do that. If you want to make it easier and you have HTV, you don't even have to have a Cricut or anything like that. You can just use HTV and trace it and cut it out and then iron it on where you want. You can put their name on it. I mean, sky's the limit here, guys. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so because this is such a scrappy project, we don't really have like yardage of material. So I'm just gonna dive right in and just show you all the bits that you use for this. So first you're gonna have these pattern pieces. This is your butterfly, this is your outline. In the end, we fold it over and you see you have that beautiful half butterfly look. It's so cute. So you're gonna need one cut of your exterior for this. I'm using this very fun, very buttery vinyl. This is like a glow-in-the-dark vinyl. It has a really nice soft backing to it. This can be left raw edges. If you wanna edge coat the inside of this before you sew it together, that would be very professional. I am not using a lining piece, but I will tell you, on this first one I made here, I actually used the same cut and I cut out a piece of heat transfer vinyl, which is HTV, used a lot with Cricut, silhouettes, things like that. This pattern does come with the SVG file. If you have a cutting machine and you don't want to cut this out by hand, definitely take advantage of that, but you don't need it. I didn't use it for either one of these today. But you can still use heat transfer vinyl, use the pattern piece, cut it out, and then you can just heat it to the back of your exterior vinyl, which is what I did on this first one. But honestly, it is such a small little opening, you really can't even notice it. So I am perfectly fine leaving the back as is as the lining. That's gonna work out just fine today. But if you wanna add some HTV anywhere inside as these little accents, you can definitely do that. So for the accents, you have panel B and then panel D. These are kind of like the bigger accents. And then for the smaller accents, you have panel C and panel E. And you see, we're just gonna kind of overlap them like that. So when you're picking your scraps, do whatever you want, honestly. But I like to do a little bit of contrast. I try not to make them look too similar because I really want these smaller pieces to stand out and to pop. And then I want this whole unit to stand out and pop. So you can see none of these are the same color. They are all very different colors, but together, I think they're gonna work out and they're gonna look pretty nice. Totally optional are some rivets. These are fun, just little decorative accents to go on the little wings. It's also what I'm gonna be using to make our strap. For your strap, you can build your own. The instructions for that are in the pattern. I actually just got this amazing little 1/2 inch seatbelt webbing, which I am just loving right now. It's from Wonderground Fabrics. So I just cut a little 11-inch piece of this. It is too short. I would suggest a longer piece, maybe more like a 20-inch or 18-inch instead of 11-inch. This is too short. I'll show you. This one is an 11-inch one, and I can just barely fit my hand in there. And I do have pretty small wrists. So I would suggest, unless this is for a child, if it's for a child, definitely the 11-inch is going to be perfect. But if it's for an adult, I would make it just a little bit long. Maybe not 18 inches, maybe more like 15 inches if you're going to be making the strap the way I do. So you can see I do leave the edges raw on this webbing, and I'll show you how I do that. But I'll be using the rivets to make the strap. This little coin purse is very artistic. It has a lot going on and a lot of texture that we add to it. So I really didn't want to put a tag anywhere on there, like a sew on bag tag, to take away from the design. So instead of sewing on my tag, I actually have these cute little danglies here. These are also from Heartwood and Hide. They're amazing. This way I can just hang this on to the connector at the top, and now I still have a tag on the back. I think that's a really cool option. To connect this wristlet strap, we're gonna be using a very small grommet. Now this is a 5.1 millimeter grommet. I'll be using my cam snap press to set that. I'll show you all of that. You don't have to put the grommet on here. You could sew in a little D-ring tab and attach it in there. I'll let you know where to do that when we get to that point. But I say, you know, if you're willing to try grommets, you don't need to have the big press to do the grommets. There are kits out there to install grommets with just like a hammer, and it's very easy. You don't need to have the press. But if you have a cam snap press, this is going to be easier for you. And then you just need a small cut of zipper tape and a zipper. So very, very small here, just about a 4-inch long cut of zipper. It's a small pocket, but it's going to be adorable. All right, here's pretty much all the other stuff. Obviously, lots of clips. Love my clips. I have this super sticky double-sided tape. This is 1/4-inch double-sided tape. It is for leather. You don't want to sew over this, but it's going to be perfect for sticking on those little bits of the butterfly wings before we sew them on. So that way I don't have to worry about it moving at all. I just make sure I put it in a place I don't sew over it. For installation of the zipper, I have this wash away 1/4-inch double-sided tape. This is very easy to sew over, and it's going to help with keeping the zipper in place. Needles today are Microtex 8012. It's kind of my standard vinyl needle. We don't have a lot of layers today, so you should not have to worry about any needles breaking. For the thread, I'm using a Tex 45 weight thread. Use whatever thread you're comfortable with. Honestly, I just like this thread because it's very thick and it looks really cool when you top stitch it, but you don't need to use a very heavyweight thread. And then for the bobbin, just Gutermann thread from Joann's. I always have my Kai scissors. I have a lighter to burn off any little tails. I have a Fiskars knife. It's kind of like an X-Acto knife. This is going to help cut out the inner part of your zipper. I've already cut it out, but if you want to be more precise with cutting out that rectangle on the center of the butterfly panel, the X-Acto knife is going to be very useful for that. A vinyl marking tool. You know, I don't know if we're going to need to mark anything today, but just in case, I always have a vinyl marking tool and an air erasing marking tool. My stiletto, as always, to help keep everything in place. Here is my rivet press. If you're interested in the rivet press, I have a whole video going over it. I call this a rivet press, but really it's an everything press. Rivets, magnetic snaps, purse feet, grommets, holes, you name it, this thing, I mean, who knows what they're gonna come out with next. It's really impressive. So I'm gonna be using this today. And then I have an assortment of dies, and I just wanna show you all the dies real quick. First, I have a set of dies, And this is just for rivets. This is like a little bowl on the top and a bowl on the bottom. These are for pressing the rivets. Next, I have these 3 dies, and then, also this bottom die here. So I'll show you. These 2 dies go together. This is to create a bigger hole. So for my grommets, I don't want a tiny hole like I do for the rivets. I want a bigger hole. So when I buy my grommet dies, I make sure I also grab a hole punch that goes with them. Like I said, this is like a 5mm grommet, so I have a hole punch to accommodate that, and then I have my 5mm grommet dies, top and bottom. So there's just things to think about. If you have any questions about that and you're ordering any of this from Cam Snaps, make sure to send them an email. They are very, very accommodating at explaining to you exactly what tools you're gonna need for what project you're working on. All right, so let's start by building these cute little accents. So you're gonna have panels B and C and D and E. So you can see it's gonna go like this. Now let's get the big one out first. So it can be a little confusing. Make sure you refer to the pattern for a picture, but figure out how you want this to be in the end. So I'm just gonna kind of lay it all out. Now, do you want the little corners to pinch down? Maybe you want the corners to pinch up. Totally up to you. Maybe you want to do it like something like this. This could be cool too. Look, you can have a lot of fun with this. I think I'm going to stick with the pattern though, and I'm going to have them go down like that, and the circles on the bottom. And then we have our 3rd layer here, and so these can be centered, or like the pattern, they're kind of pinched down more towards the bottom corners like that, and then the circles, they can be centered. Oh, so fun. So now I'm going to remove these off of my bigger butterfly, set that to the side, and just work on these. So like I said, I really like this very sticky double-sided tape. So I'm just gonna cut off little bits, maybe like 1 inch, 1.5 inch long bits. Cut it off, put it on the back of my top layer. And this top layer here, this is glitter felt. This is not vinyl, it is just glitter felt. Remember, felt is always a great raw edge option. I know we think of it as like very crafty kind of elementary school crafts, but it's great in accent pieces like this. So don't shun the felt. Go to the craft store, grab yourself some felt. It's fun. All right, so I'm just gonna stick this on just like that. You could also use a glue stick if you don't want to use this tape. I know this tape, can be expensive. So if you want to just use a glue stick, that's another great option. All right, so I have my top wings taped. I'm gonna do the same thing on the bottom. I'm just gonna take probably like a 1/2 inch cut here. These are smaller. That's more like 1 inch. But I'm just gonna tape it on the bottom circle here. And if you don't want to center it, maybe not, let's not center it. Let's have it go a little bit higher up. All right, now once you have them glued or taped in place and you're happy with how they look, we're gonna go to the sewing machine and we're just gonna top stitch right along the edge of these top pieces at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You can backstitch at the beginning and end if you want. I, however, am not going to do that. I'm going to just leave the tails really long, so I don't use the automatic thread cutter in my sewing machine. So I keep the top thread and the bobbin thread nice and long, and that way I can pull them to the back and tie them in. It's a much cleaner look, so I'll show you that. So let's go top stitch these at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so the trick with appliquing items, which is just sewing one item on top of another item like this, is to go really slow. I sped up that sewing portion for the sake of the video, but it did take me about 5 minutes to sew all these on. I go very slow. So you can see this is like a stringy mess. So I'm just gonna show you on one of these. You can see on the top I have the 2 top threads, I have the 2 bobbin threads on the back. I just gently pull on those bobbin threads until I see a little loop of the top thread. Grab something sharp like a stiletto or a pin or something and just pull the top thread to the back. Do this for both top threads. So once you have all 4 threads on the back, I just double them up and I triple knot them. So just a nice strong triple knot really close to the fabric. And this makes sure that, the 2 pieces don't come apart, but it also means when you turn it over, you can't really see where the stitching starts and stops, which is a really cool look. I like that. So I'm gonna do that for the other 3 pieces as well. Alrighty, there we go. So now we're gonna kind of do the same thing. We're just gonna tape them onto our butterfly. The one thing you wanna pay attention to when you're doing this part though, is just don't let them get too close to the raw edges, because that's gonna make it more difficult to sew the outside of this butterfly later. So don't let it get too close to the edges on the outside. Don't let it get too close to the edge on the inside when we install the zipper. It should just be kind of centered. So you have lots of space everywhere. So I'm gonna have mine just like that. I mean, you could get a ruler out and measure everything, but I like just eyeballing it. I like it not being perfect. Okay, so once again, grab your glue or your tape and let's just tape it down. And if you're really stuck on this being symmetrical, and it's frustrating you that maybe it's not symmetrical, I just want you to remember in the end, this is folded in half. You will not see both sides at the same time. So there's really no way anyone's gonna tell, including you, if these are not symmetrical. All right, so just like we did before, we're gonna just top stitch this down at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Again, I go slow and then I keep the tails long and I pull them all to the back. Cute is that little butterfly, and I mean, it's quick, right? It's pretty quick. So now we're gonna install the zipper. So I'm just gonna grab this adorable zipper tape and give it a little cut. I just like to make it nice and big, and then I trim it down later. And then I'll add my zipper pull, which is just a cute little sewing machine. Okay, so now I want the zipper to go towards the head, because the head is where I'm gonna have my grommet, so this will be like the top. So when the zipper's closed, I want it to be going up towards the head. So I'm gonna lay my zipper like this so that the zipper closes to the left. I'm gonna grab my wash away double-sided tape, and I'm going to add this right along the outer edge of my zipper tape. And I'm even going off the edge a little bit. Like, I don't want this to show in that pocket in the end. So I wanna make sure the tape is right on the edge. Okay, so I like to just do this in 2 parts because it's easier for me. I'm gonna remove the paper off the tape on the top edge first. And then I'm gonna take my butterfly, and with the head part going towards the left, I'm just gonna center that little opening over my zipper tape. There we go. And then I'll pull the zipper pull up, and then you can see it's kind of in the middle right now, and then I close it all the way to the left, and that lets me see the coils get nice and straight so that I can center this to the best of my ability. There we go. Once I'm happy with one side, I'll lift up the exterior, take the paper off of the bottom tape, and then I can just fold down this bottom edge, push it down. There we go. Very cute. Oh, that's such a sweet little butter. It's so cute. All right, so now we're gonna top stitch around all 4 edges of this rectangular opening. I do make sure I backstitch over the zipper coils. So I don't really backstitch at the beginning and the ending of the stitching because again, I pull it back, tie it, all that. But I do like to backstitch over the zipper coils because when you open and close, that's gonna kind of get the most beading, and I really don't want those to come undone. So 1/8 of an inch seam allowance along the whole inner rectangle. So after you top stitch that on, just make sure you check the back and confirm that you did catch all of the zipper tape. That's the hardest thing, is sometimes if the zipper tape's a little wonky, you might not catch it. Everything looks good, so we're good to go. So like I said, I'm just gonna clean up these threads. All right, so like I said, my zipper tape is longer than it needs to be, so I'm gonna trim it down. So I'm gonna remove the zipper tape as well as the double-sided tape that's with it, pull it down. I'm gonna fold the exterior back, and I'm just gonna trim this down so it's about 1/2 of an inch away from the opening. The thing is you just don't want the zipper tape too close to the raw edges because it makes it very difficult to top stitch this in the end if it is. So that's good there. I'm gonna do the same thing over here, just pull this back. Pull back the exterior, about 1/2 of an inch, and trim down the zipper tape. There we go. And now, just for a little extra security, you don't need to do this, but if you're using specifically like zipper tape, pretty much any zipper tape, I like to burn the edges. So I melt them with the lighter. So I'm not melting the exterior here, I'm just melting the raw edges of my zipper tape, because some zipper tapes, they like to unravel a lot. I just don't want that to be a problem, especially since I don't have any sort of lining in this. These will just be left exposed. After use, I would hate for little strings to start getting caught in the zipper, and you know what I mean? It's just a little bit of tidying up that will save a lot of headaches later. Alrighty, so now if you don't want to use the grommet, but you still want a wristlet strap, you can cut a little piece of vinyl that is 1/2 of an inch by 2 inches long. And when we fold this in half, a good place to put that would be like right along this edge here. It's nice and straight. So I would insert my little 1/2 inch by 2 inch, fold it wrong sides together, take the raw edges and just tuck it in there. Let me see if I have a scrap. So just pretend that this is 2 inches long, okay? So if it's 2 inches long and then you fold it in half, you'll have 1 inch long, right? And then you'll have the raw edges down here. And what you would do is you would just tuck that in just like that and hold it in there. And when we top stitch this closed, you would have a nice little loop here that you could add a keychain to. You could put a D-ring on it before you stitch it down so that way you can easily access that. So that's another option if you're not going to use grommets. But I am going to be using grommets. So the easiest thing here to do is you just fold it in half, wrong sides together, and line up all the edges. And then grab your clips and clip it together. And everything should line up pretty well. If it's not perfect, that's okay. We can still clean it up when we're all done. So let's just get them mostly lined up as best as we can. All right, so I have it all clipped together, and I just realized I forgot to add the little rivet accents on here. So you can see on this version here, I have these little mouse rivets, which are so cute, so fun. They're from Camp Snaps. I actually really like how it looks right now, so I'm not going to add them, but rivets are beautiful on this. It's like a little glitter, a little speck. Oh, if you've seen those like crystal rivets, that would be beautiful on this. I'm gonna leave it like this, so I just want you to know you don't have to add rivets to this, but if you wanted to, there are some fun options out there. All right, so once you have these clipped, and it's all lined up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna top stitch around this entire edge. I know there are some curves and angles here. That's okay. We're gonna go slow. We're gonna top stitch at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm gonna be using a zipper foot because that allows me to get nice and close around the zipper over here. Sometimes a regular foot will give you some trouble close to the zipper edge, but I'll be using a zipper foot, and again, I just go slow. If you wanna backstitch, that's fine. I will be backstitching just slightly at the beginning and the end, but like before, I will be pulling the threads to the back. Okay, that is looking so cute. So if you noticed, I go very slow, but I lift up my presser foot a lot. So if on your sewing machine, you can set it so that every time you stop sewing, the needle stays down. That's gonna help you a lot. You want the needles to stay down in the project so you can lift up the presser foot, kind of see where you're at, where you need to go, and you can twist your project without having to worry about moving the whole thing out of the way. You can twist it and then put the foot down and then continue sewing. It does take practice, but the slower you go, the better. So now if you want to, you can just pull the threads to the back, trim them down, use the lighter to kind of burn off the tails, or if you backstitch, just trim down your threads. All right, so once you have a top stitch, if you notice that some edges are just not lining up properly, you can very gently take your scissors and trim down whichever of the edges is peeking out further. So wherever you see the back side of your vinyl, you can just trim it down. I mean, even if you want to get in here in these little curves, just take the tip of your scissors very gently, and we're not cutting our threads, okay? We're just shaving off little bits of the vinyl to make it look a little bit cleaner. If you're planning on edge coating the raw edges of this, you definitely want to do this because you want that to be a nice smooth edge before you apply your paint. And just make sure you look at it from both sides because it's not just one side that peeks out. All right, that is adorable. And if you want to be done, you can be done. You don't have to add anything else to this. This is just a really cute little coin purse you can put in your backpack, put in your purse, put it wherever. It's adorable. But if we want to make this a little wristlet, we can do that with some fun stuff. So I'm going to use the grommet. I'm going to grab my press and I'm going to grab the hole punch. Now this is for a bigger hole. Put that in here. Now grab your grommets too, because if you're doing this for the first time, you need to have a good idea of where you're going to punch this hole. So grab one of your grommet pieces. And this, for me, is going to go right here in like the head portion, but you don't want it too close to the edge where it cuts the thread and then it unravels and this whole thing can come out and then you just ruined your project. So you want it more centered. So what you might even want to do is kind of lay it out and then take your grommet and just kind of push it down where you want it. And that creates a little hole, like a little indentation. And I can use that to line up my punch and punch right through there. All right, so I punch the hole, let's poke it out. There we go, perfect. So now I'm gonna grab my grommet pieces. So you have two pieces to the grommet. You have one that has like a little cylinder going down the middle, and then you have a flat disc. You need one of each. And make sure you switch out your dies. I'm gonna take out my hole punching die. I'm gonna put in my 5mm grommet die. And grommets do have a front and the back. The piece with the cylinder is more like the front, so if you have top thread, top stitching thread, and you want to make that the front of your pouch, you can stick the cylinder piece through there. And then what I do is I have the cylinder piece on the top, and I'm going to flip it upside down, and the top of that cylindrical piece goes on the bottom die like that, And then I take my little disc and I'm gonna lay that over the back. I don't know if you can see, but I'm laying it over the circle part back here, and I kind of have to hold it in place. It's not gonna snap together. I have to hold it, gently push down on my press, making sure it's all lined up. You don't have to push it down really fast. You can kind of hold it here and make sure it's all good. And then once you're happy, give it a little bit more force and press it into place. So then we pull this out. See, isn't that cute? We have a nice little grommet. Very easy, very cute. All right, so that's done. Now we just have to make the strap. And again, I'm just gonna use my press for that. Oh, such is life. For all the hardware that I have, and I have a lot of bag making hardware, I never seem to have what I need. And I have so many of these little 1/2-inch swivels. I just don't have a nickel 1/2-inch swivel. So I'm gonna use a rainbow 1/2-inch swivel. I apologize, I didn't show this in the beginning. But since I have a 1/2-inch piece of webbing, I need a 1/2-inch swivel to go with it. This is so easy, guys. We're just going to thread this through the swivel like that, and then just let one edge kind of overhang by about 1 inch. Bring the opposite edge down, and I just kind of tuck it in between the short edge and the other edge that's already threaded, just like that. Very simple. I'm going to use a clip to keep it together until I can punch it out. And this other press I have here has my regular hole punch die already installed, so I'm just going to grab that one. And carefully, I'm going to punch a hole through all 3 layers, making sure it's centered on all 3 of them. You don't want to punch a hole too close to either of the raw edges. All right, once that's good, I'm going to clip it back together. You don't need to clip it back together. It's not like anything's going to happen. You already punched the holes. And then I'm going to grab my rivet and take the male end of the rivet and push it through the holes. Make sure you clean up any fuzz. Grab the female end, snap it in place just like that. And then grab the press and make sure you put on the rivet dies. Once all that's prepped, the hardest part here is just making sure you keep everything from twisting around, because when you set this rivet, if your webbing is kind of twisted like that, it's going to stay like that. So make sure it's all very straight. So I kind of hold the sides of it with my fingers while I push it in here, and then push down the rivet just to set it. There we go. And in that, it's just nice and clean and pretty, and that's not the right color swivel. Then you can just snap this onto your grommet, which I think is very cute. There we go. Okay, last thing. These are so fun because if you forget to sew on your bag tag, and you have a bag tag that you like to use, or you just don't have a place to put it on your project, you just grab one of these little hang tags here, and you got these little beads on them. You just thread it through your swivel, or you can thread it through the strap, wherever you want. And there we go. Look how cute that is. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Okay, guys. Look how sweet that is. Oh, I just love this little cutie so much. You know what? Here in Florida, we're lucky enough to be visited by butterflies all year long. We never take that for granted. We absolutely love being able to see them flutter around our garden. So having these little butterfly pouches is really special for us. I mean, these are things that, like, I know the kiddos in my life who saw these immediately called dibs. Immediately called dibs on it because they're just so stinking cute. And it is one of those things where you could spend a whole day and just make a dozen of them, you know, for a class project. I know end of year, if you want to have like an end of year gift for a teacher, this is a really sweet gift. And like I said, especially if you're doing it with kids, they can be so involved in it. Even if it's just picking out the materials, it's still, you know, they could be the designer of the bag, which is pretty special. So I hope you love making these little cuties as much as I do. Like I said, if you do make them, let me know. Let Justyna know. We want to see them. I think that this is such a fun project for summer. If you have any questions whatsoever, just leave them in the comment section down below. You can also shoot me an email. I'm Jessica@OklaRoots.com. I hope that you're having a great day. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Get out there and make something. Bye, guys.